Welcome back, everybody. Kevin Jones here with Brian Earhart. We have part 2 of round 1 coverage for you at the Great Lakes Open, sponsored by Discraft. Brian, what do you think about it?
I'm kind of pumped up. Happy to be here. I think we got a good card of players, and I think they're steadily moving along. Tim Barham and Adam Hams are at neg 2 after the front 9. Alex Russell and Andrew Marwede are neg 1 and +1. So nothing stellar from these players, but this back 9, if you're feeling it, is pretty shreddable.
Yeah, at least 6 birdies to be had for every player on the card. You know, they can sneak out some good scores here. We're going to start on hole 10. This is so far uphill to the right. There's not another shot on this, or another shot like this on tour, if you ask me.
This is a huge uphill turnover, and you really want to play to the big dead trees in the middle and pan just in front of them. As you can see, Adam is ripping a turnover here.
Wow, what a shot by Adam.
I think it's such a pro-level par 3. It shows the multi-angle shot shaping that these players have to have, because you're throwing an anhyzer, but if you hit the hill on anhyzer, it's going to roll down the hill. You have to flatten the disc as it's going to the basket, and I think that's such a sweet line to make the players throw.
Yeah, this is an amazing hole. I love this hole so much. It really takes kind of I think a late flip. So a lot of people are throwing a fairway driver and a late flipping fairway driver. So as far as this course is concerned, you're probably throwing a different disc than you've been throwing the whole course.
Exactly. Alex has thrown a pretty solid line.
Very solid.
And that's actually a good spot to be. As much as it's kind of thick down there, you'll have a 30-footer.
There's nothing easy about it, that's for sure, but he has a look at it, which is all you can ask for on this hole.
Absolutely.
Oh, just off the mark. Pretty clean look for Alex.
Alex has just had a couple putts like that where he's been so close to making it, and it's just popped off the tray. And after probably one of the prettier drives I've seen in this hole, Adam cashes in the birdie. And like I was saying, he threw that big panning anhyzer, but the disc had enough stability to flatten and land softly on that slope. So that's huge birdie for Adam there.
Yeah, it definitely is. A well-played shot. He either threw an undertaker or possibly something even more flippy, such as like a thrasher or something.
Potentially. I don't think he would be throwing a thrasher. I think he has a lot of forces in his bag, and I think he has a couple that are seasoned to the point of having undertaker stability. But he has a ton of power, and I wouldn't doubt if it was a fairway driver that he threw. Adam moves to 3 under par with the lone birdie, and we move to, again, one of the tougher par 3s in the course, especially for right-handed players.
Yeah, at this point in the round, picking up any birdie is super valuable. So that birdie on the last hole is going to feel great for Adam. Now, if he can string together this one, that's an awesome move on the leaderboard.
This is a 358-foot par 3, and it does not play 358 feet. It plays almost like 458 feet.
It plays giant.
Righties are pushing a giant... Again, pushing hyzer up the hill. You can't sweep it wide. You have to have it flattening as it's going uphill, and Adam has done something very similar to that.
This shot's extremely pretty and super fun to throw as well. Like you were saying, you need a glidey distance driver, a distance driver that's going to at least stand up a little bit in its flight and kind of push up the hill to the left.
Tim didn't quite get it to flat, but he did have the right line on it. He'll have a pretty easy up and down for a par. Marwede taking the route that I think a lot of players do when they make a mistake is they swing the hyzer too wide, and you really have to push it. Alex going lefty route, throwing a huge sidearm.
This tee box also is extremely uphill, so the run-up that you're doing with is a little bit unorthodox. It's kind of tough to get the exact line that you want on it. What I see a lot of people do personally is saw it off early into the tree on the left side. Seems very easy to do that sometimes.
Oh, most definitely. And Alex, after just being a little bit too short to run the putt, is going to have to lay up. Adam with a birdie putt here.
First blemish I've seen of him on the green. I would have expected him to make that, especially after him streaking like he is right now. Unfortunately,
after missing that circle 1 putt, he's going to tap in for the same number as the entire card. And hole number 11 is going to be birdieless. One of the tougher holes in the course. It did average right around par, so a birdie would take strokes, but 3 is not gonna really kill you. Alex with smiles is tapping in his 3. And then we move into, again, hole number 12, another very, very challenging par 3.
Hole 12 is very challenging, as you were saying. Super fun shot. It takes a specific hyzer flip forehand if you really want to access the pin. But this hole can turn into a par 4 once you're off the fairway. So if you don't have a nice, powerful sidearm, likely you're going to be playing this hole as a 2-shot hole or something, just into the trees to where you'll have a nice, easy putter shot to the green to secure a 3. Adam is looking a little high here. But for playing for a 3, it should be just fine. He'll be scrambling from a short distance to get up and down.
And Tim is trying to flip a buzz down there. And I actually heard of someone getting a birdie with a buzz turnover earlier that round.
Oh, wow. He snuck all the way through there.
Yes. And as much as that tree in the middle has a lot of low-hanging branches, if you get through that, you can definitely glide a mid-range down there if you have the power. But like you were saying, a forehand is the most commonly seen route, and Marwede smoked this thing.
He did. That was a good-looking line.
But it looked like he might have gotten caught up in that brush.
I'm not quite sure, but that's at least up there in the gap. Shouldn't have much left on the bone.
Alex going a little bit low. He'll be right in the mouth. He should have some sort of jump putt up to the basket.
Yep, that's a good way to play this hole. Anything to the mouth where you're getting a 3 at worst is going to be fine here. It's easy to lose strokes on this hole. You get out of position, and all of a sudden it's a 4.
Yeah, this is one of the more bogeyed holes in the course when it comes to par 3s. Being out of position is just really annoying. And as you can see, Adam, even being close to the basket, has a tough look.
Oh,
maybe
my.
not. Wow, okay.
What a putt from Adam.
That would have been a nice momentum swing. Tim's also running the basket, but he's going to be about 20 feet from the basket.
Good putt. Tim's putting has been looking very good, if you ask me.
Smooth. Super smooth. And Alex just seemingly can't quite put it together. I mean, it looks like he's just been so close to scoring and has just blown a couple opportunities. And a couple uncharacteristic putting mistakes from him and just putting his drives a little bit too low. But if he can pick that up, he has no problem scoring in the last stretch of the course. We did not see a single birdie. We saw 4 pars, which is really not that bad. Not going to be losing strokes in the field, really. Moving into hole number 13. This one has been pushed back as of last year, I believe. 700 feet, par 4. Another hole where you have to really choose where you put your drive. Do you want to put your drive as far as you can onto the slope and give yourself tougher footing, or do you want to play a hyzer to the flat spot and give yourself an easier look at the basket?
Yeah, this is a hole everybody on this card's looking to score on, get that birdie, get right back on track, and we have a couple more birdie holes coming up, so really this is where we might see a turkey, hopefully.
Oh, yeah.
Adam finishing left side fairway. Luckily, there's no punishment for that. He's going to have a kind of open hyzer angle to the pin.
Tim going with a GMC nuke, and he's flipped this up beautifully. If that sits down and stays out of the thick stuff, yep, he should have another hyzer to the basket from there.
Yeah, similar shot. Similar tee shot, or similar shot as his tee shot to the basket.
Yes. And he's boomed this thing. That's going to get on the slope.
Yeah, that's a nice full flex. He could throw mid-range from there likely and get up and down.
Another big drive from Alex. That should be right in the middle of the fairway.
Sure will be. Center cut. Nice trust.
That's
and
a good drive.
He'll be throwing a hyzer onto the green from there.
And there is a wooden sign in the path to the basket, and it's actually a good reference point. It's about 80 feet diagonal into the left from that sign. And if you push right over it and start hyzering, as you can see,
that's the sign.
It'll put you right up next to the basket. He's swung it a little bit wide. He's got about a 40-footer. Alex hoping to make a correction on that.
Yeah, that's the mistake, though. You're going so far uphill here, and if you leak it left at all, you're going to be possibly left with no putt.
Exactly.
So players are going to play the right side of the green here and try to kind of scoot it in there just inside the circle, maybe to the pin. Like Adam going much more aggressive here. He'll be left side green. Just enough
Barely
left
side green. He is parked. That is a perfect shot. And that's the thing. It looks like his shot was going too far left, but it is tucked back there a ways. And Marwede, as much as he, pushed it left, still has a 15-footer to the basket if he has footing.
It's tough to watch. Alex looking for the birdie there, really trying to get back on track, but just far enough outside the circle to where him and Tim struggling to make that putt. They're going to be taking pars on a very scoreable hole. This is a hole that everybody in the field really wants to take their 3 on.
Yeah, not a lot of danger off the tee, so you really can just choose where you want to go and throw a pretty unobstructed shot to the basket. This one actually averaged less than par. It averaged a 3.85, and Adam was able to capitalize on that. So with 2 birdies, Marwede and Hams, we have a couple pars from Russell and Barham. Just can't quite seem to get the scoring together. We move into a very scoreable par 3, hole number 14.
Yep, hole 14, 375 feet, plays about 300 feet. Honestly, it's super far downhill. And the thing about this hole is anything coming in on a hyzer early is subject to trees. There are plenty of trees early in the circle. So if you come in early, you're going to be dealing with some trees. The play is to really swing it wide. Let it come in on the backside of the green. Let it skip and see if you can just play clean to the circle.
And I think the most pure lines that I've seen to the basket are lower. It makes the gap a lot easier, and you're just having to miss the stumps of the trees rather than the branches. And I think a lot of times you'll see this as these big high hyzers are coming into the green. If you want to pure the line, throwing it a little bit lower and playing a bit of a flare is a higher percentage shot. But again, risking the plinko and having the disc fall after hitting the branches is something that a lot of these players are willing to take.
That looked a little bit better. He swung it a little bit wider than the other 2 players who left it inside and caught the trees. And yes, you're extremely right about that, Brian. Some people decide on this hole that they might just throw it up real high and pray that it gets lucky. Mm-hmm. And I personally don't think that's the play here. I think it's a disciplined shot that you can pure every time.
Absolutely, yep.
So I think it's just really important that you play the backside of the green. It's much more open there, and try to swing it in there for a putt.
It seems like it's supposed to be this very simple hyzer to the basket, almost like a gimme birdie, but you'd be surprised at how many people don't get it.
Yes. It does seem like a gimme hole, but it takes a very disciplined shot to get in the circle.
Tim, after sneaking through some branches, gets the clean birdie.
Is that the lone birdie on the card, Tim's drive? I believe so.
I believe so, actually. And that just shows you, the hole is not as straightforward as people think it is. There's definitely a lot of guardian trees to block those tee shots. And a lot of people, more so than you'd think, are left with circle 2 putts. So after we have 3 pars and the lone birdie from Tim Barham, moving to 3 under par, we are going to take a quick break for a word from our sponsors. Hole number 15 is another hole that has undergone quite a few changes this year. And what I mean by that is the entire left side of tall grass is now roped off and out of bounds. So players no longer can throw as far as they can forward to get to this par 4 basket. You have to follow the fairway. and you have to throw a placement shot to get to the basket. If you can put it in bounds off the tee, though, you're left with an extremely routine shot with a backboard of a green. And even where Tim's at right now, he's still left with an easy 275 to 300 feet to the basket.
Yeah, this is an execution hole, if you ask me. This is a hole that a very high percentage of disc golfers in the world can execute it. It's not a very far sidearm. It's like 350 feet at most. Like, you really don't want to go any further past that. And then you're left with a 200-foot backhand approach or sidearm approach to the hillside, like you said. So,
and that is money. Power sidearm, placement shot to the bottom of the gully, and he's going to have a standstill sidearm from there. Alex trying to follow suit.
just a little bit early.
Still nothing too challenging.
Nothing that he cannot handle. He just has that rough to run through, and other than that, it's just 200 feet wide open.
Yeah, the real mistake people make is if they're throwing the sidearm, they flip it up and push it forward and go out of bounds.
Yes.
Or on this approach shot, like we saw Adams do, sawing it off a little bit early and having it fade into that right patch.
It leaks. It leaks bad.
Leaks.
You immediately, the second you lose the angle on your shot there, it leaks so bad to 35 feet, 30 feet, and awkward footing putt.
Yeah.
So you really want to throw it extremely hard.
Yeah, and we have a backstop, so you don't have to land it on this green. You can push it into the green as hard as you want. Marwede has chosen to land it on the green and is stuck to about 25.
Adam should not be here from where his
Okay.
drive landed. But this is the thing about Adam. He makes putts like these all the time, and especially like when he gets in bad positions. He threw an errant shot that should have been an easy birdie. Instead, he had to work hard for it, and he knocked that down. Another great putt from Tim also. Let's see another one. That's what I'm talking about.
Alex cashing in a birdie there. Let's see if Marwede has what it takes to follow suit.
Star frame.
There we go. I like that.
Yes, me too.
Is that our first star frame of the round?
I'm not sure, but it looks like it. It's definitely close.
After a great putt from Adam Hams, kind of continuing this streak he's got going, he's starting to put together some birdies. We have all taken a birdie in this hole. We're going to move into hole number 16. I would say one of the easier shapes to hit on the course.
Yeah, easy possibly. Also very fun still and specific. So
Yes, it's for a lot of right-handed players, if there's no wind, they're throwing some sort of subtle hyzer with a mid-range, I would believe.
yeah, the idea of this hole is to throw your mid-range on a hyzer at the stuff on the right side so that it works left and kind of opens up the gap. Now Tim says,
Or
screw
you could do
that.
this.
I'm gonna play this hole with no trees. He unfortunately doesn't get the result he's wanting, and luckily there's some people spotting out there.
Yeah.
Because that would be
That stuff is thick.
tough to find.
Adam, I think, is playing a little bit more traditional route.
So yeah, he's throwing a pretty flat shot. He didn't do the hyzer line that I was talking about, but he's gonna finish left and 35 feet because he hit that last guardian tree.
A decent roll after that tree kick.
Yeah, there's worse rolls.
Oh, yeah.
He's gonna love that putt.
And two stall hyzers. I think this one is going a little bit too far left.
The stall hyzer is pretty tough to do. I'm kind of surprised to see two people on the card do it. The up the middle gap definitely can work out even if you miss your line,
Yeah.
such as Alex like this. He'll be at 60 feet still. Oh,
Dropping it right next to the pin. Alex, like you said, from about 60, and he wants this. Doesn't quite capitalize. Adam with another jump putt.
this is cash.
That's the thing I really enjoy about Adam. He has that next level killer instinct that once he starts rolling, he can really throw a lot of bad breaks and rough holes out the window and just string together some ridiculous numbers.
His putt is so good. It's so ideal for the basket. He was just outside the circle there, and he tossed his putter up on a nose-down angle so that it's just crashing into the bottom of the basket. He didn't even hit many
That's a
chains
confident
there.
putt for sure. Alex is going to tap in that 3. Tim is going to do the same. And Adam again, another birdie. He is really stringing together a decent round if he can continue with this.
Yeah, he definitely is. I mean, anything past 5 under, if you shoot 5 under each round out here, you're looking at a top 10 finish possibly.
Oh, absolutely. That's a great round, and with two more birdieable holes. What you're not going to see on hole 17 right now, with this being the older drone footage, we now have very tight OB roped off on the left side. So the players, especially right-handed players, are really going to have to watch that turnover angle and push the disc forward rather than having it fade out. And Adam is going, it needs to sit down.
It does, or have juice.
I think he got a very fortunate landing, and he is going to be right in that OB pocket. He is going to be safe.
Just barely. He just barely slipped that into a safe pocket. Really, like, you need to do what Marwede's doing right here. You need to throw it out there. It doesn't matter if it goes into the tall grass. You're still going to have a possible up and down, but that's
cash.
Perfect.
Cash money.
Great shot.
Barham going nuke again. He has swung that a little bit wide, but that backside, if he has decent footing, isn't so bad.
This guy is still going to have a birdie opportunity up there. He definitely jerked that a little far right, but that's a fine result.
And that's got to flatten.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that either. The crazy thing about it is they're going to be in tall grass, so somebody like Alex and Tim over there, they both like their sidearms. When you're throwing sidearms out of that tall grass, it actually can hit your arm and affect it. He definitely caught some shrubbage there. But for me, it definitely affects my arm in the way that I'm kind of slinging the disc.
Definitely. It's especially if you're trying to throw uphill too, you want to throw from a little bit lower spot. Alex has crushed this. I'm not quite sure what this yellow disc is that he's throwing.
That's a boss. That's a boss all
he
day.
Is shaping this thing on some ridiculous forehand lines. We saw him rip it on a flex on 4. Adam, after a blessing from the disc golf gods, has capitalized and ripped a buzz. And another birdie look for him.
Woo, pretty shot to see right there. That's leaking. That needs to simmer. Okay.
Got slapped down by that tree.
Yeah, it'll have
Hopefully
a little look at it. This is layup zone. I ran it too. From that area, it's a good place to run it just because it kind of does sit down, but that's a tough one to make.
And another missed putt.
Those are very, very far uphill putts.
And the thing about this approach shot is you keep thinking, that the basket's not that far away, but it's so uphill that a lot of times you find yourself in similar spots to Tim or Marwede. It's interesting. I think it's one of the cooler approaches we have on this course. Tim giving the basket a nice little tap on the head. Couple nice birdies. Alex able to capitalize after a beautiful forehand from that thick rough that he was in. Adam with a pretty textbook up and down for the birdie. We move into hole number 18, which is a super challenging hole for righties. I believe we only had a few birdies on this yesterday total. So I'm not sure how these players are going to be attacking it. But what are we throwing here as a righty?
As a righty, you're going to be faced with 3 options. You're either going to hammer over on a fairway driver or a distance driver, backhand, and hope you miss those trees. If you have a giant flick like Adam does, you're going to let it hyzer just around those trees to maybe circle's edge. Adam doesn't quite get all the distance, but he's in Adam range. Alex definitely has this shot in his bag. A little bit early, unfortunately, and he'll be left 55 feet out. And that's what you're going to see on this hole, just a lot of just short drives and kind of chip ups for your 3s.
I have also heard that people are birdieing this hole with rollers.
That was the third option, actually. The roller is definitely a play, too.
And I think Tim is going with just a straight turnover backhand. Almost got the line, just needed to push it a little bit higher. But yeah, this hole, especially with the OB on the left side, this is a very challenging hole for a right-handed player.
That is not a good spot to be. He only had cut roller out of there. Yeah, and Alex giving a little bid, but he's just going to be dropping it in for a 3.
Tim missing another circle 2 putt. He was left with quite a few of those this round, which does get frustrating after a while.
Yeah, there's a lot of circle 2 putts on this course.
With how demanding a lot of these upshots are. Wow.
Boom.
That was birdie train, if I've ever seen one. Adam with that fire coming into the back 9, and he strung together some beautiful putting.
That's a great finish for Adam Hammes right there. I think he was 2 under par coming into this 9, finishing at 8 under, and he's in winning position for the tournament.
Absolutely. I mean, this course is definitely playing a couple strokes harder than it was last year, just with the OB being added and some of the holes being made longer. That was definitely a fantastic putting performance, and as you mentioned, a lot of these players across the board were left with tons of circle 2 putts, and Adam was the one that capitalized.
That's right. He has a dangerous circle 2 putt game, and that's going to help him out here a lot. Here's our leaderboard. Anthony Barella coming in hot with an 11 under par. That's a great round out here with all this OB. You have Kevin Jones, Chris Clemens at 10 under. Paul McBeth at 9 under, catching by PDGA number. He will be on the lead card for round 2. And chase card going to be Calvin Heimberg, Willie Prince, Adam Hammes, and
Zach Melton. Thank you so much for joining us for that round. It was a blast to commentate on. And make sure to like and subscribe to Central Coast Disc Golf, and we will catch you for round 2.